Alexander, I
Yeah.
know this is what you do as an integrator.
Yeah, we of course we interface with all kinds of hardware cards in very different ways. And when we first learned about the VPUs, it was great to see that they are supporting both the low level interface that we would not touch, because that's one level too low beyond what we usually do. But there was also FFmpeg and Gstreamer, so we would have two mainstream open source tools with which we could access these cards. However, as we do most of our media processing based on the Norsk SDK from Ideas, that was our main interface to the card. But we knew all the time we could interfaces with different tools in different ways. So that gave us some leeway around how to approach this. So in the end, we usually for live processing just use the Norsk SDK, which has a lot of advantages for us here. And what we see is that the power itself, the engine itself, is very important, and it's the core of what you can do with these cards. And it's amazing what kind of density we can achieve with that, how powerful they are. But in a way, it's like so it's an ASIC beyond under the hood. And if you look at other fields where you have an ASIC, it's most prominently, for instance, in switches and routers. There you have also ASICs that do the heavy work. But the ASIC there as well is not accessible to you in its raw form. You need something that interfaces with it. And there you have different operating systems on these switches, and you have different tools of software that come all with their pros and cons. So it's important that you have that independent piece of hardware that you can access in different ways. But then for a specific use case, for a specific customer group, you boil it down to something that fulfills their needs completely, where you completely adopt to what they want to do with the system. And so that is where you leave that universal FFmpeg interface and rather build something that is more battle tested, more reliable. And part is also the testing and just seeing this is what the card can do in principle, but this is the subset of use cases that I support and that I have thoroughly tested so that I can testify to the customers. If you want to do that workload, we've exactly tested that workload, that works, that is, we can put our guarantee on it. That's one part of how to work with such a physical card system. And the other part is there is a lot of functionality that the card covers, but it does not cover all. It's a specialist, and it does what it does very good, but it does not do everything. And there still is part of at least what we have to do in our day-to-day business that where we have functionality that is not available on the card. So we have to combine it with software-based or with GPU-based transcoding. So it's good to have these options.
Yeah. So this is a very good point, because one of the challenges that the industry has to grapple with, or an engineer has to grapple with when adopting a VPU, is that fundamentally, as we've just said, what we're bringing, what the VPU is the engine. But the analogy is, okay, that's great. It's like I happen to have a friend who's actually builds cars. He builds hot rods, and so maybe everyone kind of has that one friend who actually would love to just take an engine and build a car. But for me, I'm going to have to go out and buy a car. I need one that's already built, that's, done for me, both because I don't have the ability to build one and I don't want to build one, even if I could.